move on. So there were two big events that happened this past Saturday. One was Ring of Honor Final Battle, and the other one was NXT Deadline. And I kind of wanted to go over the takeaways that we both got from both shows. So starting with Ring of Honor Final Battle. 2022, it was the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view of the year, and I wanted to know kind of some of the highlights or the takeaways that you got from it.
Oh Jesus. I think everyone has to agree that the biggest takeaway was watching the Briscoes versus FTR. Like that match was a lot more gruesome than what I expected it to be. Like I expected them to tear down the house, don't get me wrong. But within like I don't know, the first minute, bro, I was watching off of a stream and my shit glitched. Next thing you know, one of them's already bleeding. I think everyone was bloody by the end of it. Hell, the referee got bladed, bro. The referee did a blade job. Like the match was insane. It was over the top. There was spots that like literally just had me just cringing. That whole spot where they done tucked the dog collar and then had one of the Briscoes flying over, I think into like a bed of chairs or some shit. That made me cringe. I think he went through a table. Another time I was like, bro, like, does no one care about their backs and their necks here? Like the match was amazing. I was just like concerned. I was really concerned for
Right.
these men's lives. I was just like, damn, I'm gonna see a casualty by the end of this. But it
Hmm.
was great. The only thing that shocked me was who went over. I expected since FTR is coming with all these belts that they would try to keep, they would try to keep a momentum with them since we do see them on AEW. I thought it was odd booking to have the Briscoes go over, and I think that's their second match, right? And they
Yeah.
lost twice to on the Briscoes, so I thought the booking was odd for that. Do you think there's a reasoning behind that?
So I think that I think FTR won the first match. I think that's how they won the Ring of Honor tag team titles because if you remember, the Briscoes kind of got like a quiet release from Ring of Honor and they went to Impact for a little bit. And but FTR I think won the belts from them a year prior at the previous Final Battle. And so I think it was a kind of like a full circle moment. I think that like I thought it was a shocking decision because obviously the Briscoes have been under fire for um you know I'm not even going to get into it. Actually no, I'm going to get into it. Just like the racist stuff and all that. Um they were under fire, and I think that Warner had a problem with doing things relating to the Briscoes because of their reputation. And so I thought that they were going to keep the belts off of the Briscoes and try to keep the Briscoes away from Ring of Honor for that matter. So I was very shocked about
Right.
like that little booking decision. But yeah,
Mm.
I actually don't know why they went with that decision. Great match, great ending. I'm not complaining at all, but I felt like on a PR standpoint that they were going to try and not put the belts on the Briscoes because of their past, and we don't know what the resolution has been with that. But did you have any other takeaways or
You think
highlights
Tony
from
would ever sign them?
to AEW? Probably not. To Ring of Honor? Probably. Um, but that all really depends, in my opinion, on the TV situation, right? Like based on where they signed or the TV deals, I feel like Tony Khan wants to have the Briscoes signed to a Tony Khan wrestling property. However, if they're trying to do a TV deal with Warner, they're probably not going to want to pick up Ring of Honor as a television product if the Briscoes are signed to Ring of Honor. So I think that it really kind of depends on the TV situation, which I assume is either being worked out or will work itself out in the future. Um, but did you have any other like takeaways or highlights from that event or
Oh yeah, definitely. Because okay, so everyone knows that on Twitter I stay shaming Wheeler because I can't stand him. I think he's the most unintimidating wrestler I had ever seen. He gives me very like punchable face vibes. As with Sammy Guevara, I just find him just annoying. Like great in the ring, he just is annoying from the second he opens up his mouth on the mic. I'm just disinterested. And he had this a match with Daniel Garcia, and I was trying to look up what the match name was because it slipped my mind. But they had
Pure Championship?
stipulations essentially,
Yeah.
and sorry,
It was the Pure Rules
yeah, the match
match
name.
for the pure rules for the pure title. So
Yeah, and they had like this brilliant fun match that I never seen before where you if you use up all your rope breaks, you're kind of fucked and you just got to rely off the fact like can you withstand, can you get out of this submission hold if they put you into submission hold, or if you get pinned or whatnot, can you like reverse your way out of it? It was fun for me as a viewer. Like again, I never seen that type of match before. Um and it gave me, by the end of it, I wasn't even mad that Wheeler went over because of just how like entertaining that match was. Like I had like my full attention because I didn't know who it could go to. There were so many ways to book a match like that, and I
mhm.
never seen that in wrestling. So that to me had to be like my second favorite match on the card. Like again, like in the beginning, I was like, "Oh, it's a Wheeler match, fuck that shit." But then I'm like, "Oh, Daniel Garcia's in there. All right, let me just give him like a few minutes of my time." But I was fully like invested. Like, and I wasn't expecting Wheeler to go over because I think that by the end of it, he lost all his rope breaks or some shit like that, and then he just pulls some out of his ass and won. I was like, whoa, this is fun. Like, I would like to see that match concept elsewhere. I would like to see that in AEW or WWE. So I thought that was fun, fresh. Um, thirdly, Athena winning. I I missed half the match, but I did see half of it towards the ending, and I thought that was amazing that Athena finally got something because I feel like it's been long overdue since she had gold, and I don't count that little title run she had in NXT. I don't think anyone cared for it, and it's because essentially no one cared for those NXT belts, and I don't think they care for the tag team belts over there for the females. I feel like it's a non-factor. You know what I mean? But like I like her as a singles competitor a lot. So I love the fact that they gave her something to work with. Um so that was fun. That was good for me. That was good for me. The other match that I liked too, despite the fact that the logic got pissed me off, was Keith Lee and Swerve versus, I forgot their names, but it was a big
Shane
dude.
Taylor and I
And
forgot. Yeah,
yeah, like that match was actually really fun. I got a little more context from other people that I think it was Shane Taylor, that's the bigger guy.
yeah.
Him and Keith Lee used to be tag team buddies or something. 'Cause I was trying to understand why was the crowd like getting excited when they were in the ring for 5 seconds and then they tagged their partners in. And then when I saw them like moving with each other, I'm like, oh, this is a fun match. Like it gave you a little bit of like everything. You had some big man spots. You had the smaller spots with like Swerve, and then the other guy's like a MMA. At least it looked like he was like built like an MMA fighter or something. So it had given me a lot of variation. Yes, the logic got pissed me off. I'm just like, bro, didn't y'all just like beef 2 weeks ago and split on AEW pay per view? Why are y'all tag teaming? That pissed me off. That still pisses me off. However, the match itself was really fucking good. I loved it. To be honest, I went in there with less expectations for ROH. I came out thinking, damn, like what the fuck is NXT gonna do? What are they going to do? I saw nobody talking about Deadline. There was no anticipation. No one was hyping it up. It was dry. Timeline dry. But everyone was going in about that Briscoe match and stuff like that. So I was just like, damn, Triple H better think of something. Something. So we're gonna get into that afterwards. But what was your whole take on the ROH pay-per-view?
So I kind of agree with everything that you just said. I think that another big thing for me was Athena, I think, was like the first time where there was like an AEW to Ring of Honor storyline where there was a satisfactory payoff, meaning that like
Hmm.
this all started with Athena losing to Jade, right? And then you saw her go into dark, and then she turned heel and then became more aggressive. And then Mercedes called her out, and then Mercedes and Athena had the match, and Athena won. So there's payoff. There was a root to the story, there was a climax, and there was a resolution. I thought that that was great. I feel like if Tony does that more, I would just really, really enjoy it. If you're going to bring talent from AEW to Ring of Honor, there needs to be some form of payoff or some type of character change or something. There needs to be some form of satisfactory payoff. And I think that that was the case for Athena. As far as the Swerve Keith Lee match, I got the logic. Swerve wanted the chance to turn on Keith the way that Keith turned on Swerve, meaning he wanted to be the ability to kind of walk out the way that Keith kind of walked out on him, just so that he can hurt him as much as Keith hurt him. So I get it, because now the next time they get in the ring, it's definitely going to be on the terms of the beginning of their feud. So I felt like that was a good way to kind of establish that and to kind of give a little bit of nuance and layer to Swerve's character. Obviously, the Briscoes match was the highlight of the night. And it sucks because like there was a whole like there were so many things that were going on that were just as like intriguing. For example, Brian Cage and the Embassy winning the six-man tag titles, right? You had Jericho and Cesaro, which we didn't even get into. There was a whole world title match where Jericho tapped out to Cesaro. And like that was a big deal as well. So now Cesaro is now the Ring of Honor World Champion. Daniel Garcia lost the pure title to Wheeler. So now the Blackpool Combat Club is they're back to having championship gold, which was a big takeaway. But that Briscoes match was so gruesome and so good that like I think that people forgot all those other things happened. But it's going to be very interesting to kind of see what happens next. Um, because and we're gonna get to it later in the show because Tony Khan has some ROH TV announcements, and I'm very, very intrigued to see where they go. But we're moving on to the second show of the day, which